Hello, Dee.
Hi there.
How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Hello, Deborah. Welcome. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Jeanette.
How are
How are
you
you?
tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well. Hello, George.
Hi, everybody.
How are
Hi,
you
George.
tonight?
Okay. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. It's been a very, very busy day.
Okay.
See, Deborah, are you having problems with your camera tonight?
Yes, I thought I fixed it the other day.
Well, we'll deal with whatever has to be. Hopefully we can get it working during the session, but I think that everybody knows that you're not going to run away and hide during the session tonight.
No, not me. You know, I always got something to say.
Hello, Robert.
Hi.
Okay, tonight I want to welcome someone who's not been with us for a while. She had to take some time away, and she's restarted the course and is joining us tonight again for the first time. This is Dee Davila Estelle, and she's taking Biblical Citizenship. So, Dee, this is a great group. These people are really focused and really wanting to move forward, and so I think you're going to fit right in, and everybody will enjoy each other. Kathy,
Yes.
I need to talk to you. I have a special request for you.
Okay.
I am in the process right now of starting to, and actually, Robert, I want you to listen to this too. I'm in the process right now of laying the groundwork to start recording some broadcasts for a podcast that I'm starting. It will be, I haven't decided on a title yet, but it'll be something along the line of freedom fighters. And what I want to do is interview people on that podcast who are involved with other organizations that people can get involved with as part of the podcast. And I wondered if you two would be willing to talk with me, since each of you are involved with other organizations pretty deeply, to let people out there know what you do and what kinds of things are available to them if they want to be involved in them.
Sounds good.
I can do that.
Okay, that would be great. Okay, it's been kind of a spotty week. Has everybody had as tough a week as I've had time-wise this week?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week all the way around. I noticed that, I was actually kind of relieved in the last few days as I saw homework start coming in. But at the beginning of the week, when I usually get an influx, there was nothing. And I went, oh dear, I wonder what's going on here. But I am glad that you're here tonight. I also have some news for you that I think is going to make some of you kind of happy, and maybe it will make things just a little bit easier to deal with. I've been working really hard to kind of streamline things and make them a little more convenient and easy for you to use with the system. And we've made another step in that direction. I actually am all but ready to send out the links so that you can access it, but I've designed some boards that actually show you exactly what has been submitted, because there's been some confusion for some of you, wondering if stuff has been transmitted, because we've had some issues with Boomly not transmitting it like it should, and also just getting mixed up and not sure exactly where you were with what was going on in the course. And so I've been trying to put together what I wanted to do was create a dashboard, which would be a web page for each one of you that showed you exactly what had been submitted, when it had been submitted. It will track your Patriot Proud points so that you have a better idea of where you are sitting on those. And it also will have the links to the things that you have submitted so that you can just click on them and download them yourself instead of having to wait for me to email them back to you. And I think that will streamline things to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to try to set it up so that each of you have your own, you know how we're using the landing page right now to access each course section. I'm going to try to set it up so it's all, you each have it, that appears on each of your own dashboards too, so that you only have to remember one URL to get into everything. And I'll also try to put on the URL under a button to get into the Freedom Fighters community so that everything is all together in one place. And that way, and like I said, it's taken me a while to figure out just exactly which software here again that I could use to do that. That would be affordable so that it didn't raise the cost for everybody, and yet it supplied what we needed to make it happen. And I think I finally found it. So anyway, I'm hoping that, you know, as like I said, I've got the boards built. I'm just now integrating them into the dashboard so that it can get to you. So I'm hoping by the end of the week, at least that's what I'm shooting for, I can get all those out to you. I also had some questions come up. We've had some more questions come up this week. I had somebody call me and say, hey, I thought we didn't have to come to the discussion group. And I said, where did you get that idea? And she says, well, I thought you said it. And I said, no, I didn't, because the discussion group, that's a contractual agreement with Patriot Academy. We have the discussion group because that is the core of what their program is. Our discussion group is different. I mean, you go to any other Constitutional Live or Biblical Citizenship course, you spend your discussion group watching the video that you guys get to watch at home alone, without having to spend just the time sitting in the meeting doing it. So we can spend time discussing. But in order to have this program for you, we have to have the discussion group, and it is a requirement that you attend it. Now, everybody here, you know, I'm preaching to the choir again. It always seems like that's the way it ends up. But I want to make it very, very clear. However, there are some other things that there is a little bit more wiggle room. The course that School of Patriots offers is really, really different than what the rest of Patriot Academy offers. We provide a lot of additional resources and training and support. And I know that sometimes when life happens, it can get kind of tough. And some of you have struggled a little bit trying to keep up with the curriculum. Well, the only things that are really mandatory that we have to do are the video and the discussion group. The rest of it is just simply designed to help augment and support what your individual goals are for taking the course. And so I got thinking, and I thought, well, you know, we have to do the group, and everybody wants the video. That's why you signed up for the course in the first place. But the rest of it, okay, if you're serious about doing what you said you wanted to do when you came into this group, you need it all. Don't get me wrong. It is something that's really, everything that's designed in this group, in your course, is put there specifically for a reason. And it's all information that is valuable and very useful and important if you want to complete education about what you're learning. But I don't want to restrict you and lock you up and not let you move on in the course if something happens and you're struggling with it. So what we're going to do is this. You do need to attend the group. That is, you know, there is no wiggle room there. The group has to be attended, or there has to be a way. Sometimes extreme emergencies happen and there's nothing you can do about them. And there is a way to work that out if you run into that kind of situation. So that if you have that kind of emergency occur and you cannot be at the group, if you let me know as far ahead of the group as you can, that is the situation, there is one other thing that we can do that will not stop you from moving forward in the course. But if you don't let me know as soon as you can prior to that time so that we can work that out, because it takes some doing, then basically if you don't attend the group, you don't have access to the next section of the course for an additional week. Because the way the courses are going to be, we call it dripping in the industry, the way the courses are going to be dripped out, the weeks of the course are going to be dripped out, are if you have everything that needs to be submitted in the course submitted by Wednesday morning, then I will have, and you come to the group on Wednesday night, I will have your access to the next section of the course set up so that you can access it by 8 o'clock Thursday morning. Outside of that time frame, if you don't make that deadline, I can't guarantee it because my schedule is going to get zoo-like too. And it's going to be very difficult for me to be able to allocate that time because especially as right now, it's a little easier because there are not a whole bunch of people doing it. But as this grows, if I have 100 or 150 students that I have to make sure that's done for, then it's an entirely different story. And so I decided I needed to lay the groundwork now so that I knew what had to happen and everybody else knows what has to happen too. If you don't meet that schedule, it could take a couple of days for me to be able to get the processing done and get that course open to you. So your deadline is Wednesday morning. And if it is, here again, if there are problems, let me know. Because none of this is, I'm not an ogre. And I'm not out here to make life tough for you. But there needs to be a standard that we work with so that it works for everybody. And it really bothers me when I get phone calls with people who are extremely angry with me because I didn't jump and run immediately when they wanted it done. And I can't do that all the time. And so I do my best. But if, just so that it's fair for you and you know exactly where you are, that's basically what we're going to have to do. And now, if for some reason you really don't want to do an assignment, I've had a couple of people run into that too. Let me know. If for some reason, if you don't meet the Wednesday morning deadline to have the homework done, it could be the next Wednesday before, or the next week before you got access to the next course. I hope it won't go to that, but that is a potential that could occur. If you just blow off the group and you don't do anything about it, it will be a week. Because you're going to have to attend the group to make up that group to make it happen. Now, how that affects you, each of you enrolled in a course that lasts anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks long. That means all the curriculum in that course is supposed to be done in that time. Now, for most of you, because most of you were in the course over the holiday months, we've stretched that out a little bit. But I'm going to be sending out an email to you. There is a set end date for your course. And you have access to everything in your program until that set end date. And like I said, there is extra time for those of you who were enrolled in November and December because we dealt with holidays. but you're going to get that end date, and you will have until that time to complete your course. Now, if you haven't got the course completed at that point in time and you want to complete it, you're not locked out to the point that you have to start all over again. What you can do, we are opening a subscription program. We've talked a little bit about this before, where I told you I was going to set it up so that you could continue being part of the Freedom Fighters Forum and the Freedom Fighters community, have access to other training and other resources so that you can continue the relationship if you wanted to as you build your Patriot skills and get stronger and more secure about what you're doing. But it is something that, because the costs go on this end too, I do need to ask you to share in the cost of that. I have been able to do some things that have made it a little bit different than what we talked about. I originally said it would be about $60 a month, and that would give you one core course, which is like the course you're in now, plus access to a skills course, and you could have as many skills courses as you wanted, one at a time within that membership. As you finished one, you could start another one. But the core courses you get a really big discount on. Well, that's not the case. Basically, if you purchase the membership and you go on a month-to-month membership basis, then you will have access to a core course, one core course at a time. When you finish that course, you can pick up another core course if you want to, and skills courses as well, one at a time. But it's not going to cost you any more than that monthly membership fee. So it's going to cut the cost down for you. Also, I told you that there would have to be a minimum commitment to being a member for 6 months. No. It's an open-ended membership, and the membership will start the day that your current enrollment ends, so that it's continuous. It goes straight on through. Now, the price on that is going to be $69.99 a month for people who are coming into the program for the first time, but because you're already here, if you sign up for that membership, I'm going to be sent here again. I'm in the process, last minute, putting it together, but I'm going to be sending out an offer to you that will be a time limited offer that you can sign up for that membership for only $49.99 a month. And that will be your permanent monthly membership price for as long as you remain a member, straight through. So, but it will be a time limited offer. You'll have a certain number of days or a certain number of hours to sign up for it, but you won't be charged for it until your current course period ends. So all you have to do is say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to it. I want to keep going. And if you wait too long and miss that time window, you won't get that $20 discount on a permanent basis, but you'll be able to continue your membership at the $69.99 a month, so that you have the flexibility of making the decision of what you want to do. What that will do is let me know what you're doing, and so that I can continue to provide the kind of services that I want to have here for you and that you want to have happen for you. And so I wanted to let you know that this was coming up. Are there any questions? Now, I know that some of you have had some difficulties with some things. I have appreciated the fact that Robert has called me, Kathy has called me, and if you do, let me reiterate again. If you are having difficulty getting into your course for any reason, do not email me. That's an emergency. You're under a time frame. You have a time frame you have to work with to finish this course. You don't have time to wait 24 hours, especially if your time is as limited as it is for most of you. If you're having trouble getting into your course, pick up the telephone and call. I will do my best to take care of whatever the situation is right there at the moment. If I can't, what it does is put me on an alert so I can get back to you a lot quicker than I can get back to you via email. So and those of you who've had that happen when you call me and I'm in the field and can't do anything about it, it's a matter of a few hours, 2 or 3 hours at the most before I call you back. It's not overnight and it's not the next day. And I call you back and we get the problem solved. But if you don't call me, it can be 2 days before I can get in touch with you. And so it's really up to you. What do you want to do? What is the most effective for your use of time? It's very frustrating when people get frustrated with me and yet they haven't used the mechanisms that I put in place so that I could provide the service that they needed. And so help me help you, because that's what this is all about. Okay. Now, do any of you have any questions about things that have come up?
Yes. So to be honest, guys, I've been feeling overwhelmed with the course, and I don't know why.
Okay, I think the reason you have been, Deborah, is the very things that I was talking about today.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I made some of the choices that I made here, because I don't want that overwhelm to happen.
But it's not your fault or anyone's fault. It's my own fault.
Well, the thing is, you know what? Whether it's your fault or whether it's the guy in Timbuktu's fault, it doesn't matter. The problem is it's still there. And my goal as your coach is to help. Okay, one of the things that I want to help you do is help you learn how to manage some of that time pressure a little more effectively so that you don't have to deal with the frustration that you're having. But that's something that's going to take a little bit of time to do. And you and I've talked a little bit about that.
Yes.
But in the meantime, what we're going to do is make it so that you have the support that you need so that you can work with whatever you need to work with. And the secret behind the whole thing is, here again, is communication.
Okay.
Okay.
And
so if you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling overwhelmed, and you're not the only one. I've had the same conversation with a couple of other people who are sitting on this call tonight. If you're feeling overwhelmed, there's a reason for it. And so what we need to do is figure out how we can make this work. That's the secret behind problem solving. That's the secret behind solving the problem we're facing in this country.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So it's not something, it's not the end of the world. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted you to know that I knew you were feeling overwhelmed. And I have been concerned. In fact, I don't know if you got the message. I called you this week.
Oh, you did? I missed that call. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, I left a message for you, and when I didn't hear back from you, at first I thought, okay, is she mad at me? And I said, I don't think so.
No.
I think if you were mad at me, you'd tell me.
Yeah.
But so I knew that, there was something a little above and beyond what you were able to deal with going on. And I just thought, well, I'll give her the time that she needs to kind of get things under control again, and then we can talk about it.
Okay, well, can I just say, and I'm not afraid to say this.
All right.
So I feel like the Declaration of Independence, that's a couple weeks back, I get it. But I want to complete the workbook where it says, compare the grievances to the Constitution. Well, I feel overwhelmed with that. And to me, that's a basic research skill I should be able to do if I'm going to be an effective activist.
Okay.
And then, you know what I mean? And
I do, but that's a tough assignment. I hear from, okay, there were some other people who were laughing about it. Dee's shaking her head. Yeah, she fought through that too. Robert smiled. Robert struggled with this. That's not an easy assignment.
Okay. And then like with quiz, so it's like, I don't want to move forward unless I finish something. I guess that's a good thing, a bad thing. I don't know, but I'm not processing it correctly.
Okay, well, one of the reasons I set the new program up the way I did is because that gives you the latitude. Now, I have had the impression, Deborah, that your plans were, when you finish this course, you're in for the long haul. You want to make some real improvements across several sections of your life, from what I've been told. And maybe I'm misreading it. And
No,
if I
you're
am,
not.
I'm sorry. But my impression was you had planned to continue on even after after you finished the course. Is that right?
Yeah, going on to biblical citizenship, the next course. So yes.
Okay, then basically what can happen is go ahead and continue to work at the pace you need to work at. If the time frame on this course runs out, what will happen is we'll set you up with the subscription, and you'll stay in the same course until you get it finished. You can take as long as you want to.
Okay.
Okay? And
Okay.
that way it's on your time frame. It's not set up where you're locked into a 10-week period where you got to do it perfectly because somebody else said you had to.
Yeah, but I should have enough self-discipline to continue and complete everything on time. So that's what I'm trying to.
Okay.
acclimate.
And this is a conversation Bob, I'm going to pick on you now. This is a conversation I had with Bob last night, who says, everybody is different. Everybody processes differently. And in my life, there are days I process better than other days. And so, I mean, just because the framework of the course says it's supposed to start here and end here, that's not necessarily true. First of all, think about it a minute. This course was designed for somebody who really just wanted to dip their big toe in and didn't really want to get into the meat and potatoes of what's going on. That's not you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just because the course expectation that was set up by Patriot Academy was said that it needed to be done in 10 weeks, think about it a minute. That 10-week course that Patriot Academy offers tells you go to a Zoom meeting or you go to a physical meeting and you sit there for 2 hours and watch a video, and then you go home and you go back and you do that same thing each week for 10 weeks in a row. Does that sound anything like, and that's the course. Does that sound anything like what you're doing?
No.
Okay, so give yourself a break. This is not the same course. This is School of Patriots, a big, different thing from Patriot Academy. We use the Patriot Academy curriculum because I think you'll agree with me. Those video lectures are fabulous. But they are not. They're lukewarm compared to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so don't judge yourself based on what you perceive other people think that you ought to be doing or what other people say you ought to be doing. Instead, focus on knowing that you are doing the very, very best you can do at every step of the way. And if you aren't moving in the direction you need to move, I promise, do you really think I'm going to let you just kind of fritter the time away?
No.
Or do you think if you really get too far out the other direction, that I'm going to sit here and let you do it? I guarantee to you I won't. I promised you when you started this course that I would help you achieve the goals you have. If you're not working towards achieving those goals, I'm going to let you know what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And so you have somebody else on your side that's working with you here. Give yourself a break. Quit beating on yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that sound familiar, Dee?
Yes. That's where I was, and I was working 2 jobs. It was holidays, I was in December, and literally, you'll let them know, I sent you back something that said, I don't have time. I don't have time. That's all my answers were, and I'd send it in going, I can't do this. And Jeanette called me and said, Dee, you're going to have to just step back a minute, and let's pick up where we left off later on, because I was really just anxiety and just couldn't do it. And Jeanette saw that and said, okay, let's work on it. And here I am back again, trying all over again.
Good for you. I'm so glad you came back.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Well, and see, that's the difference here. This is not, I get accused periodically of, you've heard me say this before, I get accused periodically of doing this so I can make the big bucks. I wish. In fact, I was thinking today, at this point in time, okay, to keep myself afloat, all of you know, I work 18 to 20 hour days, 7 days a week. And a good 12 hours of every single one of those days is spent on School of Patriots. I am not making money by any means with School of Patriots. The overhead costs of keeping this program running eat up more than the revenue that I bring in. And so it is literally, I was thinking today, okay, fine. In fact, it was right after I had a phone call that was a very unpleasant phone call from somebody who told me that they thought I was terrible. I was exploiting everybody. And I thought, do I really want to do this? And then I thought, yeah, I do. I will keep doing this because I have the people that I'm going to meet with tonight who are, these are the people that are make it worth it to me to continue this. But I'm just like everybody else. I get tired too. And I have to remember that I have a reason for doing this. In fact, that's one of the things that I don't know. I'm going to plug this because I posted on the community. And by the way, if you haven't joined the community, if you're serious about building your skills as a patriot, you need to be part of that community. Even if you don't want to post on it, even if you don't want to engage, you need to be a part of that community because that's where a lot of the information you need is posted. I am tired of fighting the system out there that destroys emails and things that email blasts and things like that I try to send out. So when I have an announcement about something that's coming up, I either cover it here in discussion group or I post it on the community. And so if you're not checking that community at least 3 times a week, if not more, you're probably missing information you need. And we have some people in this meeting tonight who have not even joined that community. And so it's really up to you, but you invested in this because you wanted to have something more come out of this than just dipping your big toe in the water. So take advantage of the resources that are there for you because that's where you find them. Anyway, I just, I am here, I'm in this with you, and I will keep doing the things that I've been doing, and I will keep moving things forward to help make things happen for you the way they need to happen. But I appreciate the chance that you give me to kind of let off some steam occasionally, because sometimes it gets a little rough on my end too. And especially when I care as much as I do, it does hurt my feelings when I get attacked. But it is something that it's part of the deal, part of what I do. And so I want you to know that I appreciate each one of you. Okay. Debbie, did we take care? Deborah, did we take care? Do you feel better now?
I do feel better. And, I just am too hard on myself. I'm not trying to be a martyr here, but yes, I was getting overwhelmed and falling behind and then I just got overwhelmed and it was a vicious cycle. So yes, I appreciate that you addressed this tonight. And if I could say further that you say hard stuff to us, you don't let us, I don't know how other people feel, but I feel that you say things like, oh, okay, fine. I guess, I got to do this, this, and that. And for some people, it's very hard to take. This patriot movement, some of the people they want to do the right thing, but they don't have they're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And it's easy for them to attack other patriots. That's what a lot of the patriots, the like you and other people in positions of authority or over people or teaching people, is that they get attacked by other patriots. So I think you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you a lot, and I appreciate everyone in this class.
Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, what you just said is very true, and I know that. That's one of the reasons why I'm able, I'm just like everybody else. It does take me aback. Yeah. When I get attacked, I want to turn and run just like everybody else does. But I learned a long time ago that is not an effective way to handle the situation. And you know me and being effective. Yes. So it's not something that will deter me. But it's nice, like I said tonight, it's just nice to be able to let off steam if I need to. And when I've had a day like I've had today, sometimes, a little bit of steam needed to be let off. So thank you. I appreciate all of you. Is there anybody else in the group that's having an issue we need to talk about? Okay, now George, were you able to access the video that you wanted to access?
Yep, I got it. Very good video. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, yeah, excellent video. And it's just interesting. And I don't want to get off your track here, but as I am reading the Constitution, spending a little bit of time each day, just like, I do my Bible readings each day, but reading through the Constitution is something that just caught my eye. If I may bring this up, I thought this was interesting because this debate about whether to raise the debt ceiling for the country and stuff, it's like, oh my gosh. But this doesn't directly have to do with the debt ceiling, but section 1.9.7 of the Constitution, it says that a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. Now, where would I find that? I'm not aware of where they publish.
It isn't published.
Well, see, yeah. So anyways, it's not transparent. There's not so anyway, that caught my eye because I don't recall seeing that available, because I would like to know and see where they actually put this money. You hear about all these pork things, and I would like to know where this money's going. Okay.
Okay, it is not available, and I mean, this is the same soapbox you've heard me be on before. The reason it's not available is because we haven't done our job. Ultimately, the bottom line is just like in anything else. There's an old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. Well, the cat's been out of the house for almost 250 years.
Well,
and so basically we are now in a position where we've got to go home and we've got to start watching, and we've got to start asking, and we've got to start pointing it out. And that is the crux of why we're sitting in this group. And it's a humongous task. It's bigger than any one of us would be able to take on and be effective at doing. But what we have to do is join together and focus together to make it happen. And that's why we have these conversations. That's why we are having a Freedom Fighters Forum on Saturday. And that's why we're having an immigration discussion on Sunday. If you have not registered for those and you care about those issues, you need to get registered for them. Because these are not, this is the discussion tonight is it's about the Constitution and taking care of general business stuff for the course. It is not, you know, we get into a little bit of issues in these discussions, but if you want to talk about issues, the Freedom Fighters Forum and those seminars that are devoted specifically to that are what those are for. Okay, so I really recommend, that's something I would love to see brought up at the forum, George. And it is something that in the forum we can actually address and start looking for solutions that we can start putting into force on this end. Whether we ally with Convention of States, who is actually addressing that issue with one of the amendments that they want to propose. And I believe that the organization, and I just lost the name of it, Kathy, I'm sorry, the organization you're with, you're concerned about fiscal, yeah, you're concerned about fiscal responsibility too. And so, I mean, that is a major issue across the board. But the reason it's not in our government now is we haven't been there on top of them, making sure they do it. First of all, and this is just kind of an aside, you know, when they were talking about, oh, we've got to raise the debt ceiling. If we don't raise the debt ceiling, we're going to not be able to pay our bills. Well, one, there are no bills yet. This debt ceiling they want to raise is so that they can have the money that they appropriated in the budget for the next year so that they can spend it. It hasn't already been spent. They just want to spend it. So now they're trying to find a way to get it so that they can spend it and spend us into more oblivion. But what happens in your budget? If you plan, hey, we want to do this and we want to do this and we want to do this, and then you find out the money's not there, what happens to what you wanted to do?
You go to jail for bouncing a check.
Okay, or you don't do it, right?
Yeah.
So, in actuality, what is the big deal? So what if the government shuts down? It won't be the first time, and I guarantee it won't be the last time. And the only catastrophes that occurred when the government shut down last time was a few national monuments and national parks weren't open for a few days, and it was a little bit inconvenient for some people. And there were some federal employees that didn't get to milk the system for a few weeks. But there was no long-term problem, and what it did was draw in the lines again and make people start being a little more responsible. So what if the government shuts down?
I think Greg had something to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
No?
No, maybe not. Did you have something to say, Robert? Or were you just laughing?
No, I was laughing. I said, you said about the budget. I said, I just make a new budget.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I told you yesterday. I just make a new budget. I'm okay again.
So that's what our government does. They just,
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, the thing is, when you make that new budget, Bob, is it more realistic?
No, because the last one evidently wasn't, so.
Well, I know when I have had to deal with it, okay, it's like I told you the other night, I budget backwards to most people. I look at what I need to pay, and then I figure out what I have to do to make sure I have it.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at what I have and then trying to make what I already have fit.
I do whatever makes me feel better. And
But the federal government can't go out and find other ways to increase their money. They only have two ways of increasing revenue for the government. They can either tax us or they can go borrow it. And neither one of them is acceptable to the public of the United States. The government does not have the capacity to make money. Well, they can print money all they want to, but it's worth nothing. But basically, they cannot go out and generate revenue. They have to get it from somebody else. They can't, they're not in business. They can't go out and provide services that bring in funds like a business does, and they can't go sell something so that they can get money that way. That's not the way it works. They can only either tax the citizen or borrow money. And
well, sorry to jump in, but I heard that Trump's tax cuts actually resulted in significantly increased revenues coming in. I find that really interesting because in my mind that doesn't make sense. But somehow there's a brilliance to his way of looking at economics. But cutting taxes and you get more revenue coming in. They should spend that responsibly then. But anyway, do you have any comments regards to that?
Okay, I think what happened was it was the way the money was allocated. A lot of what happens in our current fiscal system with the liberals is we talked about general welfare last week. Okay, well, basically what happens with a lot of the expenditures that are put in the federal budget right now is that money goes out to organizations and groups of people that the government is pandering to so that those people will vote for them and give them more power. Trump didn't care about that. And basically, so what he did was he stopped a lot of that pandering. There was still some of it that went on, partially because Trump's not totally innocent, and partially because there was some of it that he didn't have the power to stop that was already in place. But I think what the difference was there, and the reason it wasn't that there was more money coming in, it was the money that went out was able to work better. And so it did a better job. And so it covered the resources because the federal government does not have the capacity to increase or generate a way to increase income other than by taxation or borrowing money.
Janet, I don't think that's a new phenomenon. I know when Reagan was president, he cut taxes, and what happens when, traditionally from what I hear, I understand, but it seems to be true in my lifetime when I heard about it, when they cut taxes to a big multi-billion dollar corporation, they cut the taxes to them, and they're able to increase production, and then they increase profits, and when the profits go up, the tax rate, it makes up for the tax cut, and then they more than make up for it. And it's not, Trump did it, it was true, like she was saying, but Reagan did the same thing, and this happened in the past before. It's no phenomenon, the Democrats ignore it. And they try to act like you said, it doesn't make sense. It does make sense. When you look at the numbers, when you give these companies their own money back, they invested, they increase production, and then they're able to create a bigger profit, and then therefore
there are bigger taxes, and so the federal government is able to increase the amount of tax revenue that comes in because the businesses are making more money and the people are doing better, and so you're right, and that is, it's just basically free enterprise.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
And so, and the problem we have now is in our current government, they have stifled free enterprise. They've destroyed I'm thinking of the energy situation we have in the country now. We are going to countries that are our enemies and begging for oil. And because our federal government will not allow us to, I hate to use the word exploit, but will not allow us to exploit the resources we have in our country. And so, I mean, these are the kinds of problems, and it's not, you know, I really personally believe in this as a genetism, but I think this is a plan. I think it is a socialist activity that is a plot and a plan to subvert and control the people and keep us under their thumb so that they can make sure that we don't uprise and say, no, you can't do this. And that's where we have to come in and say, no, that's not what the Constitution says. You are our servant. You do what we say.
Right. And we have to start asserting that, because right now we have many of our elected officials down at Davos, and they're all talking about they're, suppressing our free speech, and their vaccines didn't sell because we were too loud and lying about everything, that they were bad, and just they don't want us speaking. And as far as the money, it's the Kraken. We have too many, and we have an administrative state, not a republic anymore.
Well, no, we have worse than an administrative state. We have a socialist state. And everything is designed to, I mean, we are on our way to communism.
Did you hear what Biden said today or yesterday? I'm not sure.
No, what did he say?
He was addressing the gun control issue, and because these people want their A-15 or whatever, the AR-15s. He goes, they need more than that, because how are they going to fight against RF? They better have F-15 jet fighters. And people are like, he's threatening the American public that he'll use the F-15 jet fighters. Now, that's a stupid thing to say, because obviously he got his butt kicked in Afghanistan, and they didn't have F-15 fighters, and neither did the Vietnamese and several other rebellions. You can't win with an F-15. You got to have an standing army. And our army won't. Our army was sworn in to defend the Constitution, not any particular president. But the guy's too dumb to realize that. But you hear that kind of stuff, and we're a lot closer to that than most people realize.
Yeah, and it's just simply a matter of it's time to wake up, and that's why we're meeting on Saturday. That's where we need to start addressing this issue. So if you're not in that meeting, make sure you get in it. Yes, Robert.
I know I'm not going to ask. I don't think anybody else probably saw this, but I was watching because of the Convention of States. I saw this morning they were televising the Montana House, or the legislative body. I'm not sure if it's the House or the Senate. They were debating the Convention of States amendment there. And so it was a day to take testimony from the residents. So they had a bunch of, and I'm assuming several hundred patriots there lined up to make testimony. And if you'd have heard these people, you'd been really proud, because each one of them went up there to they got 2 or 3 minutes to give their little talk. But they've obviously been studying the Constitution, they've been studying the law, they understand what's going on. And they all went up there and made a case for, they want their legislative body to approve this amendment, which would be the 20th state if it passed, and give them all the reasons why we need a Convention of States. And all the issues that we're talking about at some point came up in almost, all the ones I was listening to. I listened for an hour and a half, and it was like sitting here for a discussion, but actually these were actually people, and they have to, when they get up there, they give their name, they have to spell their name, tell them what town from Montana they came from, and they tell them why they're there. And some people, it was all different kind of issues, but these are all COS people, and tell them why they, and also taking apart any of the arguments against it. Very well done. They were very well prepared, and it's the kind of thing that I think we could do.
That's right. It is.
Fact, and I think I told you that I'm supposed to be doing that.
And that is actually something that each one of us can do and should be doing. That's here again. I can't stress it enough. Please come on Saturday if you really care. If you are tired of seeing what's going on here, coming to this class and taking this class is an important first step, but it is not something that you can wait until you finish this class to get yourself involved in. One of the things that we do with School of Patriots that's different is that this is not a program that's designed to let you sit on your tail and learn about the Constitution before you start taking action. Our program's designed to help you hit the road running so that you have as you build the skills, you use the skills you're learning. And what happens when you do that is you start learning those skills that you have to have faster, because you have to have them faster. If you are in a position where you're talking to somebody who is not educated, who is a little bit nasty and maybe a little bit belligerent towards you because you are taking a stand, I'll tell you, you quickly start picking up what you have to have so that you can help them understand how to, why you're doing what you're doing and how you're doing it effectively. Yeah. And if you choose to sit here and take the class and do nothing else with it while you're in the class, figuring that you're going to take care of it all after you've completed the class, what it is just another excuse to not be involved, because you won't be involved after you finish the class either. And so the bottom line is, if you really are serious about wanting to make a difference, it's time to start doing the hard things now. And you're going to be hearing me talk more and more about that, because doing hard things well is the way that you have a successful life. And being willing to bite that bullet and do the hard stuff is the only way to ever be successful. So I'll say it again. Saturday's the day. Make sure you go on to the Freedom Fighters community, get the link to register, and join us on Saturday. Or if you're concerned about immigration, I have been really working on a presentation for Sunday to kind of get a across the board overview of what's going on and the effects of what we're dealing with the invasion that we're dealing with at our borders right now. And we're going to talk about it. And we may have some people from the other side at the meeting on Sunday, because it's been advertised on Facebook. So it is something that is going to be a chance to really start getting into the real process of discourse. Really start understanding what the process is all about. And so take advantage of those. If you are serious about being a patriot, this is just the very, very first step that we're doing right now.
Can I share some thoughts I had over the last week? So I was, my state representative quoted the Bible. It was a vote on reviving a child that was born alive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, my representative quoted the Bible, Jeremiah 1:5, I knew you from the womb, and then went on to say that the government is not allowed to get into that. So I'm like, wait a minute, what about the right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? So I think we need to start addressing these people. I've said it in the past on Yammer, but we need to address these people with the text of the Constitution. They do not understand the Constitution. And I think just pressing that and addressing it with the Constitution makes it less with emotion and more with fact and truth, because truth is absolute.
And you're very, very right. And that is exactly one of the things that we need to do. But, you know, we need to be sure that we have our ducks in a row too, and know for sure which document we're talking about, And Deborah, I'm not criticizing you. I want you to know that. But it's the Declaration of Independence that refers to life, liberty,
Yeah,
and
I'm sorry.
happiness.
You're right.
But that's okay, because the Declaration of Independence is the mission statement for the United States. It is every bit as important as the Constitution. The Constitution would not be the document it is were it not for the Declaration of Independence.
But we can't argue the Constitution, because you can ask somebody that or tell them that, and they don't care.
And basically,
your face, they don't really care that the Constitution's wrong, and where we're at. This is the way we're going. And so you can't. To me, you don't argue that constitutionally, only unless the person that you're dealing with believes in the Constitution. But even then, and then they bring us up at COS, and I didn't get this before, but if you remember when Nancy Pelosi many years ago was they passed the Obamacare thing, and she sat there with this pile of papers, the bill, and said that well, we have to vote on this so we can read it.
I know.
And we laughed, and I laughed, and it was made my blood boil. But Mark Meckler explained, well, she was being perfectly honest, and she was right. She was absolutely right, because the way it is now, it's like our Constitution. He stands up there and says, "Here's our Constitution." It's a little pamphlet, with so many pages. I think it's 5,000 words. And the Constitution that she's talking about is this big, weighs 20 pounds, and it's 4,000 pages, and nobody could possibly read it. And nobody knows what's in the Constitution, because this is the Constitution that's developed over the last 250 years with all the Supreme Court cases and decisions that were made. And that's the problem. We have to cut that Constitution out, because that is and it says right on there, the Constitution of the United States, as it is today. It's not that little booklet that we're looking at. That's the original Constitution. The one that is the one that they have perverted. And it's this big, and it's an enormous book, and Mark Meckler carries it around when he goes to show the case. Here's the Constitution. How can you possibly read that or read a bill? You have to. And that's what she was saying was actually true, but it's pathetic. It's a pathetic situation.
Okay, and basically, I'm not okay. The Constitution is only 6 pages long. I think possibly what you're referring to is the congressional record.
No, it's the Constitution of the United States. It states it right on there, and he shows you the book. He said you can order this. It's $200 and some to buy it. And this is actually the Constitution of the United States as it is today, with all the Supreme Court decisions in it.
Okay, but here again, my argument is that is not the Constitution. I'm a constitutionalist. The Constitution is what was drafted in 1789 in Independence Hall.
Right.
And it is, and basically the reason all that other stuff is in place, because we have stopped allowing, or we have allowed the federal government to usurp what their powers are according to that Constitution and create what they wanted the Constitution to be.
But they did it legally.
Right. And so basically, because it was illegal.
Well, I said legally. They did it legally.
Okay. They did what they said was legal.
Well, no, they did. It was legal. They got Supreme Court decisions that are very bad decisions, no doubt.
Making those decisions violated the original Constitution.
But the only people that can decide that is the Supreme Court, and they did. I'm not disagreeing. They're very bad decisions. That's why we have to have a convention of states, because we got to cut all that baloney out of there, go back to what it said originally, and defend that this time. And
okay, and here again, that is you're right. That's where we are right now. That's why a convention of states is so necessary. But for the people who are not into the Constitution far enough to understand what a convention of states is. You know, it's really interesting because for years I heard about convention of states and I thought, yeah, they're just an organization out there trying to overthrow the Constitution. And that's the impression that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are not there yet, convention of states is actually within the original Constitution of the United States.
Article 5.
There are two methods that can be used to amend the Constitution of the United States. The first is the one that you're most familiar with. That is the legislature, the Congress, actually can propose amendments that are then ratified by the people and the states. The other method is used when you have amendments needed that the legislature is not going to
never do it.
And so basically that's when a convention of states is called by the people within the organization of the individual states. And the convention of states is set up so that it actually has the power to require Congress to pass those amendments that are proposed by the convention. And so it is not an organization. The Convention of States organization is an organization in the United States, but it arose out of the Convention of States described in the Constitution. And you'll be learning more about that when we get into the amendments of the Constitution. But pay attention to Convention of States, because what they are proposing is going to be the thing that will put the power back into the hands of the people and get it out of the hands of the people who are abusing it right now.
I'll say it again. We are captured by foreign entities. You know, we have to overthrow these people. Somehow we've got to get these people out of our government.
Okay, well, and to do that, we have to return to the original Constitution.
Right.
And the way that is going to happen is through a convention of states.
Or a civil war.
We want to do it.
Yeah,
we want to do it using legal and nonviolent methods, because we watched too many people try to overthrow the government using illegal and violent methods, and they haven't been effective. All it's done is caused more division and more problems in our country. So what we need to do is go back to what the founding fathers put into place and use the mechanisms that they described, that they put together, so that we don't have to have another American Revolution like we had in 1776. Because I'll tell you, an American Revolution now won't be like the one in 1776.
Well, we don't really want a kinetic war because that's part of their subversion tactics.
Yeah.
Well,
it's one of the phases, and then they bring in their new normal.
Well, and see, that is precisely what I'm talking about. We don't want to go to war.
No.
And we have the tools. We just have to use them. But the thing is, we have been in bed so long. We made that bed with us inside it. Now we've got to get out of it.
Yeah.
And we've got to start doing what is necessary to put the things in place, to enact the things that are in place that will fix the problem. But it's a big job, and it's a frustrating job, and it's a scary job, and yet it's got to be done. And that's what this is all about. That's why we're here. That's why we have organizations like Convention of States and like the what is it, Kathy? The name of your organization?
Tactical Civics.
That's why we have Convention of States and Tactical Civics and some of the other organizations in the country who are working so hard to make this happen using peaceful and legal and nonviolent methods. But the thing is, ultimately, it has to be done. And it's not easy. And it's not fast. but it's got to be done. And it means we've got to get off our duffs and start doing what has to be done to make it happen. And so that's why, here again, that's why we're meeting on Saturday. It's time now. And those of you who signed up for that are going to be getting an email from me. I'm in the process of trying to put together an agenda that we can start talking about so that our time is spent effectively. Because I know everybody's busy and we want to make sure that this is something that's going to be a productive time for everybody. So when you get first of all, if you haven't signed up, sign up. When you get the email, get back to me as soon as possible. So anything you have for the agenda can be put on it so we can talk about it. Okay? Okay, other problems that have come up that we need to talk about tonight. Okay, I want you to know again how much I appreciate all of you. And one more thing, if you're in a position where you missed the deadline on Wednesday to have everything done for that week, and you're in a situation where you've got a zoo coming, if you have met the criteria so that you have an attendance at a group session in the bank, so to speak, you've got one that hasn't been actually used to move you forward to another section of the course, those get banked. They will show up on the sheet on your account, so that if you've attended a session for the first week of the course, and you've attended a session for the second week of the course while you were still working on the first week, when you complete that first week, you don't have to wait till the next Wednesday to get into the second session. If you've got the session scheduled, it's already there and you will move forward. Okay? Does that make sense? Or did I just confuse everybody again?
No, that makes sense to me.
Okay. Here again, I'm not trying to stop you from moving forward. I want to help you move forward. We just need to meet the requirements of the course. And so the support is there for you to make it happen.
I got a question though. So after this discussion group tonight, then I can go into the next chapter, right?
Yeah, what I'm going to do after the group's over is I'm going to go back in, and I am actually going to, if you've got discussions banked,
Yeah.
as soon as you've completed the rest of the stuff, you will move on.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But if for some reason, say you've got a discussion banked, but you don't have the other stuff done, if you have not completed that other stuff, as long as that discussion is in place, you won't move on until the next Wednesday.
Right. Right.
But even if you don't have the other stuff done, if you've got the discussion bank, so we meet the requirements that Patriot Academy has in place, I will make sure that you have access to the next section,
Right.
even if you don't have everything done. And then you can move on as you need to. If for some reason you choose not to do those other assignments, okay, you receive 100 Patriot Proud points for attending the discussion session each week.
Right.
You receive 100 Patriot Proud points for completing the Patriot Values survey each week. You don't receive Patriot Proud points for completing the assignments or completing the quizzes.
Right.
But if you don't have everything done, and you also, if you have everything done, if everything has been done, all the assignments and quizzes and everything are done by Wednesday morning each week, you get a bonus 100 Patriot Proud points for that week. If for some reason you don't have it done by that deadline, you won't get those bonus points.
Right.
Even if you do choose to go ahead and complete those assignments.
Right.
But you're also not, if you don't have it completed and you decide you want to shoot for the next week, you can go back and pick those assignments up later so you can get the knowledge. You won't have the points for them. But and what it does is free you up so that you're not tied, so that you can't move forward. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, what I'm saying is I think everything in chapter 5 is done except the discussion group. So I wanted to go to 6, and I think usually it was in the morning. Tomorrow morning I would look, and it's always have it updated.
Robert, I will send you the link to your board so you can see exactly what has been submitted.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you have it all together there, and I will give you access to where you are according to the date.
Okay.
Because you've got discussion sessions banked.
Yeah.
We don't have a situation where that's a problem for you in your particular case.
Right.
We just have a couple of assignments we've been having trouble getting it together on.
Right.
And so basically the answer to your question, I think, is yes.
Okay.
You will probably have access to 6 and maybe even 7.
I don't know about that, but
I will have to go look to make sure. But it's the thing is, as long as the requirement, the Patriot Academy has been fulfilled. If you have the discussion sessions in the bank for that, if the date says in your program that you need that you should be on a certain week, as long as the Patriot Academy requirements are fulfilled, you're going to have access to that week. But if you have not completed all the assignments, you just don't get the Patriot Proud points.
Right. Okay. I got it.
And you won't, and if you choose not to do the assignment, you won't have the additional knowledge. That's what it is.
Right. Okay.
But I want to provide more flexibility for you and more control for you, because here again, my goal is not to control you and dictate how you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's your choice. You're grown-ups, you're adults, you have the right to make your own decisions. There are just parameters we have to meet within the program itself. So basically, any other questions at this point? Okay, well, listen, I will get this out to you, and I'm going to try to I may send out the link so you can access your records so that you can see where everything is. It may not all be on a dashboard where it's all in one place right now. But you tell me, would you like to have the access so you know where you are, even if it's with a separate URL?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I will do that, and then I will try to get it. I'm going to try to have it together on a dashboard for everybody by the end of the week, so that it's easy and simple to access. But in the meantime, I want to get you the information so that you have it. Okay?
Okay.
All right, great. I will, if there are any questions, please call me. If it's not a time constraint situation for you, you can go ahead and use whatever method you want to work. But if you're under a time pressure, please call. Don't get mad at me because you're frustrated and you can't figure out what's going on. If you get frustrated, that means you need to pick up your phone. Okay?
Okay.
All righty. Everyone have a great week. And if there aren't any other comments or questions, did you have something you wanted to say, George?
Nope, everybody have a good week. Thanks.
All right. Okay, everyone, I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.